looking so fresh. When I walk by, breaking their necks. Waiting in line at the team store. Now I'm feeling fly like a condor. Eyes on me when I walk through the door. Man, I wish I bought a couple more. Cause I really love my city. It was worth every penny. If it were at my show, then I know they gon' tip me. Think I might add a couple patches. If you think it's ugly, you capping. Now my whole outfit matching. Never going out of fashion.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Talking Friars. The Padres, they take 2 out of 3 from the Marlins today. Obviously, a disappointing loss. They had a 5-run lead at one point in this game. It was 6-1, and they couldn't hold it. Marlins out-hit the Padres 13-9. Both teams made an error, and yeah, the bullpen. It was the best bullpen in baseball earlier this season, but that just shows how long a baseball season is. Because now you got a bunch of guys where it's like, oh, when they come into the game, can we rely on this guy? How confident are we in this guy when he comes into the game? Wandy Peralta, I think, is the prime example where he had a really good start to the season, and I was praising him, like, tip of the cap to him, because last year obviously was not what we wanted, not what he wanted, but he came in this year and he may have been working his way into like being the in that group of relievers that Mike Schultz was trusting. And that maybe this is recency bias, and if I go look at the actual stats, his game logs, it won't be as bad as it seems. But I mean, you look at the overall ERA, and it's 4.56. So kind of does back that up. But I do actually kind of want to just go look at his game logs real quick. But today was not great. Ends up going 2 innings, left balls over the middle of the plate. I wasn't able to watch the entire game, but from what I did see, yeah, just balls over the plate, hit pretty hard. And yeah, didn't do a good enough job today, in my opinion. 2 innings, let's see, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk. But yeah, his start to the season, he gave up no runs all the way through April 14th. April 16th against the Cubs was the first time he allowed a run. Then he didn't allow any more runs. Let's see. Until May 2nd. 6 runs, remember that outing against the Yankees. Rough patch there, those 3 games. 6 runs, 1 run, 2 runs. But then he allowed no runs in his last 5 outings entering today. So it kind of is recency bias, but he's not in that group. He probably wasn't for a lot of Padres fans anyway, but he's not in that group of guys that you trust where you're like, oh, yeah, we're going to go win this game because Wandy's on the mound. But because of, and Schultz talked about this post game, because of the work that these other relievers have had with the workload. Remember, there was the extra innings game. What was the other? Oh, the bullpen game because Michael King got scratched. So just more work recently than the Padres wanted for these relievers. And so someone like Adrian Morejon, who probably would have been pitching, seems like he was not available to pitch today, or else he would have pitched. I would be shocked if he was available today and he wouldn't have been put into this game, considering what the score was and in these circumstances. They end up going with David Morgan there, who, yeah, that was a meatball. Velocity, but that's not enough if you don't locate. And he gave up his first hit today, and he gave up his first run in the big leagues today. But he did strike out 3 guys in that inning of work. But yeah, going to like guys like him. They go to Jason Adam. I don't know. Well, no, Suarez was warming up. Yeah, so they would have been able to go to Suarez. He did have the day off going into today's game. But yeah, Morejon, he also had the day off going into today's game. But let me see here. Did he pitch? He must have been like a 5 out of 7 pitching 5 of the last 7 days is what I mean by that. Because why wouldn't he have been available? I mean, maybe he just didn't feel good and he was like, yeah, let's not risk it. Or the training staff or the coaching staff agreed, let's not risk it. But let me look at his game logs right here. The 26th, 25th, 23rd. So that's 3 times in 4 days. So he had pitched 3 of the last 5 days entering today. I think he still could have thrown. Now that's me not, being in there and knowing what he was thinking, what the coaching staff was thinking. Maybe the coaching staff was like, "Yeah, you're not going into today." I don't know, but that was a little surprising because I put that bullpen chart out almost before every game, and I was like, I went back to it and like, Morejon didn't pitch yesterday, and he threw a grand total of 18 pitches the last 2 days before that. So that was a little head scratching. But anyway, like bottom line, the Padres should have won this game and they didn't. And that's how baseball is sometimes, right? Like yesterday, you can make the argument they should have won. They should not have won that game because they were down 6-0 before they even got to bat. But they end up winning that game. Today, they have a 5-run lead, and that's a game you should win, especially when you're playing the Marlins, and you end up losing that game. So, but that's what really sucks about this series. Like I tweeted earlier today after they lost, it's a disappointing series win for the Padres because after last night, and then you have a 5-run lead, you're like, yeah, we're sweeping this team. There you go, continuing that theme of taking advantage of those bad teams, and you couldn't be able to finish that. You got yesterday's game canceled out, is what happened here today. Were there fun moments? The Padres taking that lead late on the Gavin Sheets homer. It was hilarious that he did like the Manny Machado, but from the left-handed batter's box with the lean back on that 2-run homer to make it 8-7 there in the 7th. Was feeling good, but then Agustin Ramirez, I mean, that guy is like Charlie Blackmon against the Padres here. Just with that one-hand finish, unique finish that he has, he was smacking the Padres. How many runs did he drive in today? Out of the leadoff spot, he went 4 for 5, scored twice, and he drove in 4 of the Marlins' runs. But, the Padres, they did beat themselves a little bit. Jason Adam with a wild pitch when he came. I think that was the first batter that he faced. I could be wrong, but I was listening to the radio. I think that was. The Otto Lopez home run, I mean, yeah, it was a meatball from David Morgan. And yeah, like Kyle Hart, I'm pretty sure he said it after the game, like, yeah, this one's on me. Can't hold a 5-run lead. Something to that effect. And I'm like, sure, I like the accountability. But there's other guys involved too. Like the offense, they scored runs, obviously, did their job today. But there were other guys, multiple guys in this pen. And again, it wasn't just Kyle Hart. Sure, he had a 5-run lead and then it was gone. But like there were other guys that came into this game, like David Morgan, that could have hit a spot. Yuki, an earned run, 2 outs that he pitched. Jason Adam, obviously, he comes in, gives up 3 hits. And he just clearly was not the Jason Adam that we're used to. And then they bring Wandy into the game. And we didn't get to see Robert Suarez. And didn't get to see Adrian Morejon, obviously, as I just mentioned. But yeah, clearly disappointing. I mean, just as a Padres fan, and I've, over the years as the Padres have, I always watch every Padres game, like growing up, but like I would pay attention to other teams around the league because the Padres, well, they weren't going to be a contender. So I'd watch the Padre game for fun. Maybe it was torture, but really for fun. Like I'm a Padres fan, but I would pay attention to other teams around the league because those were like the spicy matchups. I remember like when Harper was with the Nats and the Cubs with Chris Bryant on the Cubs. Like those types of matchups. Yankees, Red Sox a little bit back then, but like the Cubs Cardinals I think was pretty good. Like I would pay attention to those types of matchups because it's like, all right, this is where the real entertainment, the good teams are playing. But since then, obviously, as the Padres, and I love this because the Padres obviously are, a contending team, I've paid it less attention to other teams around baseball. Um, but like I should still know players on the Marlins. If you're serious enough about winning, I would know your players, and I know a handful. And I think most Padres fans know like none of these guys, but as a baseball fan, like I do know a lot of names around the league, and there's a lot of guys here that I've never heard of going into this series. This Wagaman dude, what's his name? Eric Wagaman. He was like their 3 hitter the other night. Okay. I had never heard of this guy that torched the Padres today. Agustin Ramirez, never heard of that guy. Um, I think I've heard of Norby before, Connor Norby. I had heard of Victor Mesa Jr. because of when I think, and his brother signed pretty young with the Marlins. I think they're out of the Dominican. That's how I heard that. That's how I know that name, but nothing like he did at the big league level. They did get to Sandy Alcantara, but Sandy not the same guy as he was. So I think you do have to mention that. Anthony Bender is a name I do know, but like there's so many guys like this bullpen: Tinoco, Enriquez, Foucher. I probably just botched that name, but whatever. Um, I actually don't care if I botch that name because like it's not disrespect to him, but it's more like disrespect to the Marlins, to be quite honest, because they should be trying more to win baseball games, and year after year they just don't. So this is what they get. No one's going to go to the games, and no one's going to know their players, and they're going to continue to have a bad record. And why do you think Skip Schumacher wanted to get out of there and was totally okay with getting out of there? And Kim Eng, um, I loved the Marlins hired her, but she's now running the Athletes Unlimited, I think, softball. She's probably happier. The Marlins just not a spot that a lot of people want to be, and it's not surprising. But with that said, they did beat the Padres today, and yeah, that was disappointing. But the comeback yesterday, Stephen Kolek grinding it out with the 6 runs in the first, but then giving up 1 hit after that, and then the bullpen, no runs allowed there. Um, just showed the fight. I think obviously the care factor for this team. Good to see Tatis go yard, Merrill go yard, and then a lot of other contributors in this game with Xander and Crony and Tyler Wade and Luis Ariz. What a game he had. Oppo hit and then a ball right up the middle, almost took the pitcher's head off. Um, all contributed to this Padres win. 2 runs driven in from him yesterday, 3 for 5 day. And yeah, I said it yesterday, the 6-0 comeback against the Cubs, or 6-run comeback, I think it was, against the Cubs last year, winning over 90 games, pretty good season. What's going to be in store this year with this big 6-run comeback? Obviously, I think Padres fans are going to remember the 6-run comeback for like what happened the day after, and maybe we should just forget about today and just like remember positively yesterday. But like you canceled it out. You came back from down 6 and won, but then the next day you were up 5 and lost. It's kind of like, well, okay, how special should we remember that game, the middle game of a Marlins series in May? If you would have swept, I think it would have been easier to, well, obviously, it would have been easier to like remember this series for the game 2 where they were down by 6 and Kolek somehow got the win, in that game. Game 1, won that one 4-3. That was the extra inning game, 11 innings. Marlins got out to the lead. They were up 2-0, 3-0 after the Jesus Sanchez home run, another guy I hadn't heard of. And then the Padres, though, they fought back. Iglesias with that double. Manny coming through. It was a little lifeless. Kind of felt like that watching the game the other day. But Manny coming through there with that homer to make it 3-3 in the 8th. He's hot. He goes on these hot runs, and he is one of the best players in baseball when he does go on those runs. No doubt about that. As I said the other night, I probably wouldn't have pinch run Tyler Wade there in that spot because I wasn't confident that the Padres were going to be able to go win that game right there. I wanted Manny's defense at third. I wanted, especially with the runner on second base, to start every inning, and I wanted Manny's bat in there, obviously, for the potential for him to just hit a gap and the game's over. But they end up putting Tyler Wade in there, the speed. Wild pitch comes and he scores. Manny probably wouldn't have scored. Schilt said that Manny would have scored, and Manny, I guess, told Schilt that he would have scored, but I'm not so sure about that. I know Manny's smart and he is a good base runner, but you do have to have speed, and Tyler Wade has more speed than Manny does, with all due respect. Love you, Manny, but I don't think you would have scored there. But that's why I'm on the couch and I'm not, in the dugout managing. So yeah, disappointing, I would say. Don't say that too many times, but I think it's fitting to say it was a disappointing series win. And I'll go to John now to see if he agrees. Disappointing series win. What do you think?
I disagree. I think it was for what it was. I think it was pretty good, personally. I think obviously it is disappointing. I think we didn't get the sweep, and especially because we can't really name many of the Marlins starters. Good to see you, by the way. I should have mentioned that from the get-go.
Same.
But I think, I think what we have to put into context is the broader game of where we're at right now. We were coming off a 6-game losing streak, right? Bullpen was imploding. And I think that our big guys weren't producing when we needed them to produce, basically. Let alone the offense as a whole not producing more than 1 or 2 runs, basically. And I think that we saw in this series that, that the offense can click when it's needed. And on top of that, I think that, my worries about Jake Cronenworth, my worries about Xander Bogaerts are kind of subsided, I think. And I think also, it's 162 games. I don't think we're going to sweep every single bad team that's under 500, let alone, we're going to play the Rockies later. I would not be surprised if, we lose 2 out of 3 against them or something like that. Or, we're playing the Giants up ahead in a 4-game series. We might split that series. You know what I mean? Like, this is baseball. And, you take the series wins as you can. And overall, I'm pretty happy. Although I am disappointed. Wandy Peralta is not my favorite reliever. And I think there's a lot of questions about the bullpen management for sure. But I think given the circumstances of, the extra innings that were kind of happening the day before and, the limits that certain pitchers had, I think we were kind of in a rock and a hard place. And that's just the unfortunate part of baseball, is what it is.
Yeah. And you make fair points. The Brave series, I think, was encouraging. They did still score 8 runs today. Obviously a lot of runs in game 2. So yeah, there's encouraging stuff there, but so we can be happy overall like that, but still, I think it is.
Obviously, you want to knock one up. Well,
you're disappointed. Yeah. You're up by 5. You're up by 5 against the Marlins, and you don't win that game. I'm gonna be disappointed with that.
Well, imagine how Marlins fans felt, the other day when they were up 5. They were up 6 runs in the first.
All 50 of them watching that game.
Exactly, all 50 of them. They're out there. They're just probably on a beach somewhere while we're at home watching Padres baseball. No, again, I think it's all about perspective. I think also, what gives me a little sanity is that, other teams are kind of going through the same rigmarole. Dodger fans are kind of going through right now, I imagine, although they can't seem to lose, which is a little frustrating to watch. But, it's all about perspective. I would rather take 2 out of 3 than not win any at all against a bad team. Marlins are a bad team, and that's that. It is what it is. I say 162 games, guys. We're only a third of the way through this roller coaster.
Yeah, when you put it that way.
Yeah.
What I would say, though, is the great teams, I feel like, do sweep those bad teams sometimes. I think the Padres have done that this year. And like, yeah, they won the series. Bad team. Okay, they did their job. But when you consider the circumstances, Schilt would then say, like, well, Ben, yeah, consider the circumstances. We were down 6 runs in game 2 and won that game. Like, we could totally have lost this series, if they lost today and lost like they probably should have yesterday. So yeah, I can spin it that way too. I just feel like the great teams, especially when they do win game 2, they would, they finish that job and they go win that third game. What I would say though is like, yeah, with this schedule they're at, the bullpen's going to get taxed, and it didn't help when Michael King gets scratched the other day, and that just adds to it. So yeah, when Schilt like brings those points up, that's valid. I do wonder, like, again, Morahone not coming in today. I don't know if you saw post game comments. I haven't had the chance to hear all of it.
Yeah.
I didn't hear anything about Morahone not coming in today.
No, there was no mention of Morahone, and there was also no mention of Robert Suarez, because that seems to be a lot of the online discourse is that, why not bring Suarez for 4 outs, right? He did it a lot last season. What's the deal with that? And then, yeah, I mean, I think, also there's Sean Reynolds as well, but he was coming off to 57 pitches, I think a day before yesterday, I believe. So,
I have him 57 pitches on Saturday.
Okay. So, I think there's a lot of questions about that. I would chalk it up to a Mike Schilt kind of questionable decisions, honestly, in terms of bullpen management. And I think also, I think while Kyle Hart didn't do the best job today, pulling him a little early, I think would have been interesting. I got questions about that as well, and bringing in Morgan into a very close situation. I know he's a young reliever, and I know that you're going to be thrown into these situations as well. But a lot of questionable decisions by Mike Schilt, which I would argue.
57 pitches Kyle Hart was at when he got pulled.
Yeah, and I don't know what kind of pitch count they were thinking about putting him under, but I would much rather take a run off the board or 2 runs, you know what I mean, than, I don't know, giving up a 3-run shot, you know what I mean? So, and then pull him, right? It's just, you kind of thrown in the young guy into a very tough situation. I get it. These are major leaguers. They got to show up and they got to produce, it's all about producing and stuff like that. But, yeah, a lot of questionable decisions I have from Mike Schilt, I think, at the end of the day. But, I mean, again, overall, biggest takeaway is that I'm just happy with the series win. We'll move on, flush it down the toilet, whatever feelings you got. We're moving on to the Pirates. And just be thankful we're not facing Paul Skeens as well. And, I'm going to the Giants series, and Giants ain't looking too hot either. So, there's positive signs, Padres fans. I'm trying to be optimistic, It's still early. We're doing all right, compared to the other fan bases.
Yeah, 31-23. Yeah, like that's obviously, again, like the great start was huge in this record that they have. But talk about something positive. Gavin Sheets. I mean, holy cow.
Yeah.
Like,
holy Sheets.
Where would the Padres be without Gavin Sheets?
Yeah.
Gary Bonds. I mean, this
Yeah.
guy. I was reading John Gennaro in Section 1904. He did a great job breaking down Gavin Sheets and like some of the changes. And it seems like the bat speed's better. He is taller. I want to say he's taller in his stance. And it's just a lot less moving parts, which makes sense why he's having more success than what he was doing with the White Sox. But yeah, like these pitches down on the zone that he's able to take out like that, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. I think anybody who's willing to, who's able to swing a ball 400 some odd feet into the air into a the home run section is pretty incredible. But yeah, I mean, Gavin Sheets, I don't know what, I honestly would love to be a fly on the wall into the scouting meetings that AJ Preller has with the scouting department and stuff like that. And just, try and figure out what about certain players that are batting, 233 or something, just like super, super low averages, like what they see in these guys, you know what I mean? That other teams just seem to miss. I mean, coming from the White Sox, right? Like, I don't know about their scouting development, but, if they're willing to drop him, then there's something clearly wrong going on in the White Sox organization that's really fundamental. Yeah, Gavin Sheets, man, he is just an absolute blessing to his team. I mean, I think I'm very much like in the same page as I am about Jerks and Profar, right? Where at this time around the year, like, hey, Profar is doing, pretty good, right? At this time of the year last season. And we're like, all right, like, listen, he'll cool off, which he did. I'm not going to lie, but, he still maintained and was still in the thick of these very crucial moments of every game. You know what I mean? I remember him in Baltimore hitting 2 home runs that were absolutely clutch. The National Series where he was just in the center of it all. The Dodgers series where he hit that clutch bases clearing double. You know what I mean? The guy was in it, and again, I had that wariness of with Gavin Cheese is going to kind of drop off, maybe drop in the order a little bit. But for right now, my goodness, Derry Bonds, keep hitting, buddy. Whatever you're doing, keep it going, and whatever adjustments you got to make in the season, honestly, pretty good. But I actually wanted to. And I hate to, diverge a little bit here, but my one big issue I think with this team right now is the lack of transparency within injuries that kind of ties together with the Kyle Hart thing. I don't want to stomp on anything that you're about to speak about right now, but yeah, I'm a little frustrated, I think, with the lack of transparency with the organization, especially when it comes to Michael King and Yu Darvish and any other players that are kind of on the injury list. We're kind of dodging and weaving, and I don't know. It's just smells a little fishy to me, I think. If
You're not alone. Like,
no.
If we go, I think I already tweeted about the timeline a little bit ago about Darvish, but like, it was okay. Everything was fine after the rehab start. He's going to be traveling with the team, and then he's not going to be traveling with the team, and then he's expected to join the team in Atlanta, and then no, he's not actually going to go with the team to Atlanta. Now he's going to get examined, and it's just like, okay, that changed a little bit there, and now I saw an update that he was throwing from 90 feet. And then if he feels really good, he can throw a bullpen this weekend. So now he's starting to ramp up again. And it's like, all right, well, this is pushing his expected return date back, obviously. What totally happened there? There's, Darvish wasn't talking about what was the exact terminology. It was about like, help me out. It was something with his shoulder. No, elbow. Residual effect.
Elbow,
I think
residual effects. Yeah.
That Kevin Acee, I think, used. And I'm like, all right, but he's not feeling pain, but he's feeling residual effects. Okay. Darvish doesn't elaborate on it. Mike Schilt's not going to. Like, he's worried about managing the team, and he'll leave that up to the doctors. But like, the doctors aren't going to come speak to the media. The doctors never speak to the media. So that's just an easy way for the manager to dodge something, is be like, well, you can go talk to the doctors. That's not my job. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you're not going to get anything from Schilt. And that goes the same thing, with Michael King. Why would the manager say something? He has nothing to like owe Padres fans. I mean, I want to know, but like, if you're the manager, why do you care what Padres fans think about a guy, his injury status, and what exactly is going on? Shoot, the manager may not exactly know what's going on because he may be speaking to the media at 3:00 in the afternoon, and Michael King's on the treatment table, or like stuff's going on. And I feel like that does actually happen though, where they'll schedule the manager to go talk as someone's doing something like of note or before, and they're like, well, it's going to happen later today, so I don't have any updates for you. And then you just hope that doesn't circle around the next day. And then when it does, you'll be like, well, you can go talk to the doctor. That's not my field of expertise. And it's like, well, then bring the freaking doctor out here so we can talk to him. It's just something that it's just round and round, and it's easy to hide behind. And sure, we'd like to know, but at the same time, I do understand why would the manager say anything? Like, there's no need for him to say really anything.
Yeah, and I think I'm also sympathetic to the fact that these are human beings, right? They're kind of just these doctors, and this team is kind of going off of the idea of just like, all right, he Darvish throws 60 pitches, and they're like, all right, how do we feel? Like, what's what's going on? And then he'll be like, I don't feel so good. And that's in the news. Like that's that, So, I think we are at the whims of just one person, which is the person who's injured, right? But I don't know. I think just some of the answers I'm hearing from Mike Schilt in terms of just like, well, we tested these one things and it wasn't that. So we're okay, I guess. So it's like, okay, well then like originally he slept on his shoulder wrong. And now, all right, now we're talking about like some very serious stuff, testing whether it's not something bigger. I get it. These are, you want to try and keep him as healthy as possible, but just being like, hey, listen, we're going to do some tests. I don't know, a little more transparency would be very nice. Just kind of like put Padres' minds at ease. But you and I followed this team for quite a long time, and transparency is not the Padres' MO. I mean, every time an interview comes up from AJ Preller, he is a master at saying a whole lot of nothing to a direct question. So
yeah, and with King, what I'm hoping is, like I think Schilt was saying how it was precautionary that they didn't start him the other day, and then he goes on the IL, and I'm like, hopefully this is a situation where, remember, it must have been last year in Baltimore where he got hit in like the shin or something, and then I don't think he made his next start. He probably was fine, but the Padres were like, let's use it as a span of time where we can make sure you're fine, but at the same time, like even if you are fine, let's limit the innings here a little bit. And maybe that's what the Padres are going to use this opportunity. They are, because he's on the IL. Maybe they're using that as the opportunity. Because like if in fact he slept weird, now he can't make his next start. He can't make the next start after that. Like that feels a little bit like, yeah, you're pushing that. So
yeah,
I feel like this may be like sure, we want to be precautionary, but let's save some innings here, and let's,
see
maybe
what happens.
greater our chances of him being healthy down the road.
Yeah,
They see their record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would rather.
Although at the same time, it's not the best time because there's not a bunch of days off. If there are a bunch of days off, maybe that's when you do it.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of flip-flopping on that.
Yeah, I think. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I'd much rather have Michael King in the game than Yu Darvish. I mean, then again, I would rather have Yu Darvish, start at the end of the season where it matters the most. I would argue, especially if we're going to be, especially if we're in the thick of wild card standings and stuff like that. And other teams are kind of, on the edges or right behind us or a game or so back. Like, I'd rather have all hands on deck for that, for sure. I think it just sucks. I think it just sucks given the circumstances. We have, Kolek. Kyle Hart is definitely going to be an up and down guy in my opinion. He's going to be the Randy Vasquez of this year, I would say. And Randy Vasquez is surprising us, which is great. But to have one of the big guys come down where it matters, and we could just set it and forget it. That does definitely, adds a little wariness, I would say, especially for other parts of the team, the offense, and the bullpen. So it's a long game, long season. I'm pretty happy with how this series panned out. Even if we take 2 out of 3 from the Pirates, I'll be stoked by that as well. So, it's a long season, guys. Hang in there.
Yeah, like if they take 2 out of 3 from a bunch of teams, then they're going to end up having a great record. Like if we want to simplify it like that, then that's the way we can do it.
In Schilt we trust, baby. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. All right, John. Good to see you. Thanks so much.
Have a good one.
Yep, you too. All right, before getting to the chat, want to remind you about some of the great partners of this show, Gaglione and Bros, famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries. Their main location is on Friars Road. If you're going to a Padres game coming up this weekend, one of the Pirates games, Padres Pirates, I think I'm going Friday, Sunday. You can hit up Gaglione Bros at Petco Park, section 124. And then they are in the upper deck, section 319. They're at Snapdragon Stadium as well. SDFC will be hosting Austin FC on Saturday. They're playing actually, I think, right now against Seattle. I should probably check what the score is. 1-0 Seattle in the 86th minute. Great. I did see Chucky wasn't starting. I saw Anibal Godoy was not starting. So I don't know if they're in the game right now, but it was not the A starting lineup for SDFC, which, not surprising, midweek. They just had a pretty recent stretch of like 3 games in 8 days as well. So, and Seattle's one of the better teams. They're 4th in the Western Conference right now. But anyway, if you're going to Snapdragon Stadium this weekend, Gaglione Bros is there as well. FreestyleCutAndStitch.com is the website for that great custom basketball jersey brand. You hit them up. If you have any ideas, they'll try to make that work for you so that you can rep your favorite player and your favorite style. I do recommend you check them out on Instagram as well at Freestyle Cut and Stitch. And for more information on them, they are a custom sports jersey maker, operate exclusively online. They offer fans a unique, fresh design, multiple designs, obviously, many designs to elevate their swag. Ready-made creations that you can order online. They also have that custom design that I'm talking about, manufacturing services for teams, little leagues, travel ball clubs, fan groups, businesses. One-of-a-kind merchandise. Padres players wear it. San Diego Wave players. Don't know if you saw, but Kira Carusa was wearing that before the match last weekend. San Diego Wave, by the way, they are 2nd in the entire league in the NWSL, which is awesome. And it's hilarious at the same time because there are media companies, whatever you want to call it, attacking 3rd. I'll just throw their name out there. They picked the Wave to finish 14th this year, and they're 2nd and have not lost a match, 6 consecutive matches without a loss, either wins or draws, and they have skyrocketed up the table. So let's go. But yeah, Freestyle Cut and Stitch, check them out. Website link in the description. Again, they're on Instagram as well. Jackson Merrill wears them. Tyler Wade wears them. Dylan Cease was wearing it recently, I saw. So you want to be like Padres players, you can wear it. Joe Musgrove obviously is big with the basketball jerseys, and the Padres have actually taken the Freestyle Cut and Stitch idea, and they are selling their own, or not selling, kind of selling, because you got to have a ticket, obviously. It's going to be a giveaway, a Manny Machado basketball jersey giveaway later this year. That's what Freestyle Cut and Stitch has done. They have, persuaded not persuaded, but they've steered the Padres in that direction of having that be a giveaway because of how popular those basketball jerseys have been with Padres players. Breaking Tea, if you're more of a shirt person, they got Padres and Aztecs shirts and sweatshirts. I definitely recommend that you check them out. Fernando, Dairy Bonds. I don't think they have a Dairy Bond shirt, but Gavin Sheets, Holy Sheets. There's a lot of great stuff over there. So definitely check them out. And then the same code for Freestyle Cut and Stitch, by the way, 10% off on any future orders at Freestyle Cut and Stitch. Code Talking Friars. Same code. Again, Talking Friars. This time for SeatGeek, $20 off your first order when you sign up with your email. All right. Let's go to the chat. Let's start off with the super chat. Much appreciated. Nothing really being said here, but Brown and Gold, thank you. Much appreciated. Albert, thank you. Super chats, I do go to first. So in the future, just hopefully you know that. And first comment here by Jason, DFA Wandy. They could bring Omar Cruz up. Brian Hoeing, when he's ready, maybe. Would you go with Wandy or would you send David Morgan down? Probably go the David Morgan route. Omar Cruz actually, he's on the roster, isn't he? Or did I just not see that he got sent down? Let me check. Transactions. Oh, no, he was up. Okay, to make room for Kyle Hart. He was optioned today. Whoops. So let me remove Omar Cruz from this bullpen chart. Delete. Yeah, I would think they remove Morgan before they remove Wandy with the contract that Wandy has, but who knows? Albert asks, will Gavin Sheets get a Merrill contract? No, but it's a great story. It's a long season, though. Will he continue it all season long? Don't know. But it's been fun watching it for sure. Devin says Schilt definitely had a judgmental mishap today. Should have switched off Adam after the 7th. Adam didn't look sharp today. As soon as I saw Wandy came up, the game was over. I'm sure there are a lot of Padres fans that had that same feeling, like, oh no, here we go. Wandy's pitching. I miss our April bullpen. Yes, I do too. That would be great to have them back. I agree with this. Merrill's been expanding the zone too much, chasing off the plate. Definitely that first game of the series is what because I wasn't able to watch the entire game for especially today. But yeah, like expanding the zone, swinging at pitches that like early in count. It's not like there was 2 strikes on him in the count, and he's swinging at it, and it's a pitch that's outside the zone. It's like, what are we doing here? And you can tell he's pissed off at himself too. He knows he shouldn't be swinging at those. Sammy asks, can you bring back the bullpen usage sheet when you post the lineup? It was a cool extra. I post the bullpen chart every day. I usually do it in the mornings now. I post it at the same time as the lineup usually because I was at home more and I had my laptop. That isn't the case right now. So usually the bullpen chart goes out in the morning. So it's still going out. It's just not going out in the same tweet as the lineup. If you're talking about on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. More Dodger fans in the chat. Shocker. Yes, I agree, Irie. Tyler Wade, he has been stepping it up this year. Showing off his value. I thought he should have made the opening day roster. He didn't, but he ended up earning his way back. And he's not going to be coming off the roster anytime soon. You don't think you're being a little too critical, Ben? I don't think so. I'm usually optimistic, so I don't think I'm being too critical. Who am I being too critical about? Oh, here's JD's third. This is not a playoff team, and this is an odd year. It's a thing in San Diego. Wake up, folks. Well, the numbers would say otherwise. And it's a long year. They totally could miss the playoffs. But even with the loss today, they're 2 games back in the division. And they have a playoff spot right now. Xander Bogaerts will be the downfall of the Padres. The downfall would be collective. It wouldn't be one person. Yeah, you guys see Tanner Scott below that thing today? See what happens when you don't have Ruben Niebla? No, I'm joking. Tanner Scott's a great pitcher, but it's funny watching him not be the same guy when he's with the Dodgers. Because I hate the Dodgers, and I want all of their players to suck. Hoeing, I'm pretty sure he's still in Double-A doing his rehab. It feels like he's been there for a couple weeks, though. Usually I don't feel like it takes that long, but really that's starters, though, that maybe they get a couple in and then they're back. Maybe with Hoeing. Well, remember, this is like his spring training, if you think about it, because he didn't have one. So maybe we shouldn't be that surprised that he's still in Double-A, if that's where he is. I think that's where he is. Because I saw San Antonio tweet something out where it was Waldron and it was Hoeing. Waldron needs a spring training as well. And by the way, SDFC final score 1-0. Seattle Sounders got the dub. So that sucks. But back against Austin on Saturday, and Chucky and Annabelle Godoy will probably be starting. Michael King will be the next chip to fall once he tests the free agency market and they start talking real money, aka Yankees apology money to him for letting him go the first. Oh, you're saying that the Yankees will sign him? They will give him a bunch of money, and that will like make up for them trading him. I don't know. Did he enjoy being on the Yankees? Yeah. Does he enjoy being on the Padres? I think so as well. Do I personally see them bringing Michael King back? I mean, they probably could bring back one of Cease or King, but it is kind of hard. Like it's very easy for me to sit here and bring up scenarios how Cease could leave and King could leave. Like there could be a team out there that values Michael King as like, I haven't looked at the free agents next year, but like the highest upside starting pitcher. He's young, not a lot of innings on his arm. Let's give him a bunch of money. And the Padres say, yeah, that's too much. We're not doing it. The Baltimore Orioles, when are they going to spend on pitching? I mean, Cease and King. Would they be on both of them? Be in on both of them? One of them? And with Dylan Cease, like the track record, he could get a bunch of money. And Padres are like, yeah, can't do that. Like, what is Cease going to cost? Can the Padres pay? Like, what did Blake Snell just get? Blake Snell contract 5 years, 182. Are the Padres going to give $180 million to a starting pitcher? I'm not so sure. Is King going to get more than Cease because of his age, or not as much innings on his arm? I don't know. JD's third with the super chat. Thank you. Says, winners find solutions for unfinished business. Okay. Padres found the solutions yesterday, but did not today. Yeah, Bo Farts was funny. Not gonna lie. Also, Miles Bird returned to San Diego State today. He was thinking about going to the NBA, declaring for the NBA draft. Could have been maybe a late first round pick, second round. I did hear some stuff about the Charlotte Hornets, how they were working him out. Maybe they would have went and picked Miles. But Miles instead returns and he's like, I want to graduate. I want to get stronger. I want to fine tune some things essentially. And I want to go win a national championship. So love that. Magoon Guath back, Miles Bird back, Reese Waters for his last year. Reinforcements that they're bringing in. They've got the guard from, I think, La Tech, who is known for his assists, tons of assists. So they got what? Majak. I don't know how much playing time he's going to get, but they've got him. Like, it's going to be an interesting team. Should be a pretty talented squad. So that's going to be fun to watch in the fall and then in the spring. All right. I think that's going to do it. Talking Friars here on a Wednesday. Padres win 2 out of 3. I think it was a disappointing series win, but hey, it's a series win. You're going to take it. You do that a lot, you're going to have a lot of wins, and you're going to make the postseason, and that's what it's about. Get in and then be playing good enough baseball and see what happens.